we are ready to have ADJ Lighting. We have them in the house, literally, they're in the house. We got my friend Chris Tesoro right here. Chris, he's with ADJ and Healy Sales. He's been working with them for a long time. Great musician, great guy. We're happy to have him here. And our expert, John Schwilly. This guy is a rock star. So I'm going to turn the floor over to these guys. It's all yours.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm Chris Tesoro. This is John Schwilly. We're with Healy Sales, the local manufacturers reps in the Northeast for the ADJ group of companies, which is ADJ Products, which is what we have here today, focused on the entry-level production market, corporate, house of worship, bands, DJs, that sort of thing. And then we have Elation on the higher end, which is more targeted towards concert touring and arenas and stadiums and that kind of thing. So we got a bunch of new stuff here from ADJ. We're going to go through with our product specialist, John Schwilly. And without further ado, turn it over to John.
Thank you, Chris. So today we're just going to go over some of the new additions that ADJ has added to the lighting market. Most of that stuff consists of lime color mixing. So in addition to your traditional RGB color mixing, we now have lime. Feel free to stop me and ask questions if you need to throughout the presentation. We have more than enough time to do that. So I'm standing behind the Obsidian Control Systems NX2 console, which is offered by one of our partner brands, Obsidian Control Systems, running the Onyx software. In the front here, we also have an NXDMX. These are very inexpensive options for controlling your lighting, thanks to the new effects engine Dylos that they came out with. We now have a full pixel mapper and full featured effects engine in this software, and any piece of hardware will unlock 4 universes for the Windows download for the computer program. The great part about this program is the fact that whether you're on an NX2 console, an NX4 console, which is the larger one, any of the smaller pieces of hardware, or running it on your computer, the software works exactly the same. There's no scaled down or scaled up versions. It runs exactly the same as it would whether it's on a lighting desk or on a computer. So it makes transitioning from event to event really, really easy. And we have a lot of options for both the budget-friendly end of any of your lighting setups, all the way up to the large touring market as well. And we just last week did a training course in New York City. We're planning on doing another one relatively soon. They are paid for trainings, but luckily we break them up into days, so you could take a beginner day or an intermediate day or an advanced day, depending on how you're doing it. We also have tons of YouTube tutorial videos online to go over the software, from almost step-by-step instruction up to fully advanced programming. So take a look at that if you have the opportunity. So I'll start from, I guess, your perspective, right to left here. For me, it's left to right. We're going to start with the Lime Par 12. Now, we call this in ADJ, it is the Encore series Par fixtures. That's our we look at this with more of a theatrical broadcast thought in mind when they design it, but the fixtures have red, green, blue, and lime LEDs in them now. So the idea is to help with a nice warm white color temperature and adjustable color temperature correction all the way up to 7,800 Kelvin. It's got a really high CRI, really high TM3015 count. It's designed for broadcast as well as theater. One of the really, really cool things, I'm going to step away for just a second. I know we said we're going to stand behind the console for the most part, but one of the features that I did want to mention is the changeable lenses on these fixtures. So all of our LP series fixtures in the Encore series have changeable lenses. Now, it comes with a 25 degree. Native, this is an 11 degree without any lens in it. It drops right in, and there's a little spring there. Just before I any of the Lime series stuff is going to have these changeable lenses. So really cool part about that is we have a lot of options for it. So not only is it just that 25-degree lens that comes with it, or the 11-degree, which is native to the fixture. We also have a 30-degree lens, a 40-degree lens, a 60-degree lens, a 100-degree lens, and then we have linear spread lenses as well. We have a 1x40 and a 10x60. Now the cool part is, on the par fixtures, you can adjust the lens along its track. So you now have a beam shaping wash fixture, or a beam shaping par fixture, akin to Source 4 pars. So that's been one of the big things. You don't really get that in LED par fixtures anymore. You usually just get a circle for your throw. Now you can actually get a linear beam shaping Source 4 par. So that helps you to focus directly on the stage. It helps out for any TED Talks. It helps out for corporate AV quite a bit, because now I can set 2 or 3 along a stage, and I know I can cover my entire stage with the linear spread. The next fixture that I just turned on is the big boy in that series. This is the Encore Lp 32. Now all of these fixtures are IP rated in the Lime series. So the great thing about that is, of course, you can use them both indoor and outdoor. We are not planning on making an indoor version of this fixture at all, because we really don't need to. This fixture is capable of handling outdoor. They're very, very powerful. They're using 20-watt LED cells, red, green, blue, and lime, as mentioned before. This one does have some eye candy pixel mapping effects. I'm not going to run through those because we don't really need to. We've got some other eye candy stuff that we can show off today too. But just like the other fixture in the series that I was just showing off, it has different lenses as well. This one is magnetic as opposed to being locked in place. And this adds to our series of line pars. We have a total of, I think it's 5 or 6 fixtures right now in the Encore Lime series. There's the Encore Lp 5, the Encore Lp 7 zoom, the Encore Lp 12, which is shown at the end of the table, the Lp 18 par, the LB for a linear bar 15 cell fixture, and then the Lp 32 panel. So we've also added Lime into our Cob Cannon series as well. So we have a very successful Cob Cannon series. This is a pendant fixture used for house lighting. A lot of times we use this in house of worship, but it is really good for an overall par as well as overall throw, and use where you just need a completely fanless LED fixture with a really large throw. It comes with 3 lenses. Native degree is 80. Then there's a 60 and a 50 degree lens as well. Right? 80, 60, and 50, yep. Held in by retaining clip. We could cut custom lenses if need be. And it also works with all the attachments of the traditional Cob Cannon fixtures. So any of the barn doors, any of the gel frames, it all works the same. Again, the addition of the Lime LED allows us to get a really high TM30 15 count, really high CRI. We've got advanced refresh rate adjustment in these fixtures and gamma adjustment for on-camera use as well. And then, of course, our CTC adjustment, which we can kick out and go back into color mixing. So any colors you can think of, we can hit along with any color temperatures now. We'll knock this one out of the way. This is going to go off in a second. It's going to start beeping. Okay? There. These battery-powered wireless fixtures are called the ADJ Mirage Q6 Pack. Okay, it comes in a 6-pack of lights. You got to buy it with the charging road case and the 6 lights. It's got chrome housing, a really, really powerful lithium-ion battery, running for almost 41 hours, which is just absolutely ridiculous. You got to put it in low power mode to do that, and if you're doing it on single color static, you'll get about 41 hours out of it. Even on the standard power mode, color mixing, running the wireless radio, you know, full power output, you're still going to get close to 20 hours of output of life out of this fixture. They are using ADJ's wireless DMX system, which is the Wi-Fi DMX. So if you go in with any sort of Wi-Fi transmitter, all of these fixtures can use wireless DMX, no problem. They work in a primary, secondary mode. So you can just set the color on one and set the rest of them to secondary, and they'll just take the changes. They'll also work on internal programs. They've got a kickstand. They are IP65 rated as well, and they come with the charging road case. And the charging road case is vented, so you don't have to worry about opening the top. You can just plug them into charge and let it go. So you get a full weekend's worth of events out of these fixtures, and then plug them in on Monday when you get back to the shop, and they're good to go by Monday night. So that's the ADJ Mirage Q6 Pack. And then let's do the, there we go. This fixture is called the Focus Flex. This is one of the newest additions to the ADJ lineup of moving head LED beam wash fixtures. Now I just have it running native right now, but it will zoom in to a very tight 6 degrees. And then it zooms out to about a 46 degree. So it's got considerable zoom range here. It's got pixel effects. You've got red, green, blue, and white LEDs. I believe these are 40-watt LEDs. Very punchy, very powerful fixture, and its pan and tilt speed is considerably fast. This is great for rock concerts, it's great for DJs, it's great for small rock bands, heck, it's great for big rock bands if you use it in quantities. Looks wonderful in the haze, but it also spreads out so you get a nice wide wash out of this fixture. So it's also good for even your small stages, your small studio spaces. It's extremely quiet, and it's got a lot of high-end adjustments on it in order to, adjust it to the camera. Okay, so you can adjust its refresh rate, you can adjust the gamma, and you can even adjust white balance if need be. There's also a red to green shift on it as well.
How about mounting?
Mounting on this guy, I'm going to pick it up because I got to be honest, I can't remember exactly, other than the fact that it uses an Omega bracket. So it comes with an Omega bracket. You can see it's going to be a single Omega bracket mount there. And the thing that I couldn't remember was if it was a single or a double. Sometimes with a fixture this small, we do a single in this case. Sometimes we do a double. I would use a lock washer if I were you guys, or a nylock to keep it locked down, because the speed of the pan and tilt will unwind a single clamp. It's got wireless DMX built into it, and it's 5-pin DMX only with PowerCon in and through. It's so low powered but high output, so you could fit quite a few of them onto a single circuit without a problem. However, we fuse the output so you can only daisy chain 3 fixtures down the line. This next fixture here is our big guns right now for indoor moving head lighting fixtures. I don't want to specifically say Gobo projector because it is so much more than a Gobo projector. This was designed with theater in mind, but it has so many more uses than just being in theaters. It's a cool white 400-watt LED source with 20,000 lumen output. So it's got really high output for the low wattage of the LED source. It's got multiple Gobo wheels, one rotating wheel, one static wheel. It's got an animation wheel. It's got a 7 to 48 degree zoom range. It's got multiple prisms, CMY color mixing with a color wheel that has a high CRI filter on it, so it can be used for on-camera use. TM3015 count not as impressive as, say, the Lime fixtures, but it's still pretty high up there. Zoom range is quite impressive on this fixture. And then we also have framing shutters. So for anybody who says we need to spot right to this podium, okay, but at the same time we also need to track the person walking up the stage, up the step and repeats over to the podium, and then frame it right to the podium, we can do all of that with one of these fixtures.
Is that
Okay.
presettable?
Excuse me?
So with the lighting control, can you create presets with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm actually running a cue list right now that's triggering about 30 different presets as we go. Yeah.
And then the color correction, you know, for color temperature is the same as the other lights?
It's not exact, but it's pretty close. I believe native on this fixture is 6,800 Kelvin, and then when you roll in the color temperature correction, it goes down to 3K. Whereas with the lime, we have up to 7,800 Kelvin and down to 3K as well on
I'm
that.
assuming that you give me a range, that means I can be somewhere
27.
between.
Yes, you can. Yeah, the fixture profiles are such that this fixture can adjust anywhere in that range in 100 Kelvin increments. Yep. And I know I'm running through this pretty quickly. I know we've got a lot of time and I'm on the second to last fixture here. So the framing shutters on this fixture are one of the newest additions that ADJ has in their lineup. We've got a couple of fixtures with frames in them, but really we've created full curtain blackout frames. So you can follow a person off stage and literally use the frame to just completely chop them right out as they walk across the stage. You could use it as a very advanced follow spot if you're really good with the lighting console. It's got 5-pin and 3-pin DMX. It uses True 1. It also takes Ethernet in and through for any ArtNet or streaming ACN. We use USB firmware updating nowadays for a lot of our fixtures, not always the outdoor stuff, but all the indoor stuff is now made with the USB service port. Please, for the love of God, do not charge your phone off of the lighting fixture, okay? It will void your warranty and I will come to your job site and smack you, okay? Funny enough though, a lot of people don't know this. They will try to plug something in USB-wise to the service port. You have to activate the USB port's power. Okay, so when you go to firmware update on these fixtures, you actually need to go in there, plug in the USB, and then turn on its power before you try to access the USB. A lot of people reach out to us and go, you gave me the firmware on a, yeah, I loaded it onto my USB stick, no problem. You know, I plugged it into the fixture, and when I go to software update, nothing happens. It just says it's searching, and then it says file not found. Well, it's because you have to actually activate the power on function on the USB. I know it sounds a little silly, but it's always great to get that information out there because a lot of people just don't realize it. You turn on that power, and then you go to the software update, and you're good to go. The last fixture here that I want to show you guys is an eye candy fixture. So camera operators are about to hate me, okay? Actually, anybody who hasn't had coffee yet is probably about to hate me. Just remember, you guys invited me. So this fixture here is the Jolt Bar. Here, I'll turn it off because that's just rude. So the Jolt Bar is part of our Jolt series of fixtures. We started with the Jolt 300, which was a much smaller version of this. Now we expanded on that. So we made a Jolt Panel FX and a Jolt Bar FX, which the Jolt Bar is the one that's here. It is a meter linear bar. There's no duty cycle on this thing, so I could strobe this thing until you guys all go to the hospital. Okay, I'm okay with either or, you know, whether the fixture dies or someone else does, whatever. But anyway, hey, I have to inject fun into this somehow. Come on. So this fixture has RGB LEDs on the outside of it, and I know I'll turn it down because I am right in your faces. And then the center LED strips is a super bright white, they call it. Okay, these are 5-watt LEDs on the center strip. Meanwhile, the outside is 0.3 watts a cell. So you can tell the power difference between those two. This was made to be a strobe blinder fixture, but it can also be a wash fixture. The panel sized fixture is a great wash fixture. They're very inexpensive. They're very, very powerful strobes. Plus you get color mixing strobe as well, because I can take the red here and I can just activate strobe and just go. Okay, so I don't need to just be strobing my white. Of course, that is the most impressive look. You know, I'm certainly not going to argue that. So, and then we have a lot of color macros that we can mess around with too. So we have interior color macro colors. We've got exterior colors that we can mess with. I could color mix this to take over from my interior color as opposed to my exterior color for macro adjustment. And it's more, and this is me just running this in a basic mode. You can actually pixel map this thing. It has, I believe, 36 sections for the RGB, and it's got 16 sections for the bright white LED center strip. Okay, so you really get a lot of cool eye candy out of this, and I know a lot of people say, well, you're at corporate AV, why do you need eye candy? Because every once in a while you do, you know? You know, somebody wants to put on a presentation to unveil a new product, and they want some crazy light going in the background and twinkling and doing all of those silly things. Well, you know what? We've got very inexpensive options, and we could take this fixture, and because it's got a nice flat end here, we can butt them up against each other and literally put it on a goalpost truss and just create a whole look that's just running around the people as they're walking in, walking out, as they're doing their presentations. We could have built a whole truss behind me. You know, not that I had enough of these fixtures to play around with to do that, but the options really are kind of limitless in the fact that you've got lots of reasons to use eye candy. You also have lots of reasons to, you know, visually assault your audience with a blinder like this. And then you can also double it as a stage wash if needed, because there's no duty cycle. So that means the LEDs are never going to dim down in order for the fixture to cool itself back down again. Okay, that's what people say when they say, oh, this LED strobe has no duty cycle. That means at this intensity, it's going to stay on forever until something in it dies. Okay? Typical strobes, even our lamp-based strobes of the past, would strobe really, really powerfully for a couple of seconds, and then they would dim down or they would die down. That was the safety feature put into those fixtures in order to keep the fixture cool, to keep the lamp cool. LEDs used to be the same way. They would generate so much heat in the back end that we would have to put in some sort of slowdown or lower power cycle in order to keep all the electronics in the back cool. Well, we don't really need to do that anymore. We've got newer LED technology. So now all of our eye candy, strobe, audience blinder stuff could be used permanently. Now, I know I ran through stuff kind of quickly, and we have almost a half hour left. Actually, more than a half hour left. So if you guys have any questions, feel free. I'm happy to explain any of this stuff.
Did that light you just showed have the one green LED as well?
It does not. It's RGB on the outer ends, on the top and bottom, and then it's the bright white in the center. We talked about that before we started. Yep.
Hey,
Yes. Hi.
You were talking about the Lime series lights over there. I actually don't know what a Lime LED is.
Oh, sure. That's perfect, actually. Great. Thank you for helping me. So, typical LED fixtures were based on red, green, and blue LED color mixing. Okay. Of course, everybody needed to start one-upping each other and adding more colors into the mix. A lot of people thought, oh, this is just for everybody to sound better. No, it actually helps to add into the spectrum. So what happens is you can, if you come out with a red, green, blue, white fixture, you can actually lower the intensity of your blue, helping you, or lower the saturation of your blue, so that you can actually add to the color spectrum. Now, same thing if you add amber in there, and if you do amber white, typically that was what you found out of a lot of theatrical fixtures or broadcast fixtures, because the amber really helped you to warm everything up. It helped you to get better color temperature for on-camera use. Now we've added lime in there, and lime really helps getting the really good color temperatures for on-camera, because it allows you to get that range where typically people would have trouble before. The 4K to 5600 range really pops now compared to fixtures of the past. Like, we were able to get that with amber, red, green, and blue, but we were better on the lower end. We were better at the 27 to 3700 range. And if you just did red, green, blue, and white, you would be better on the 64 up to 85 range. But now with lime, we can change. We can go with a more saturated red to help out with that lower end. We can go with a more saturated blue to help out with that higher end. And then we can use the green and the lime together to help us encompass a full, I wouldn't say full spectrum, but much closer than we had in the past. So this lime LED color here, which some people call mint, some people call lime, really helps out when it comes to mixing your color temperatures. And it also helps you to achieve colors that you just could not really achieve previously. Like, I can get a proper seafoam if I wanted to now. By adding in lime, I can start going with, I can start adjusting pretty much any color temperature I want here. And now this right here was considerably harder to achieve in the past without the addition of the lime in there. Some companies went straight to RGB lime. In most cases, we all typically went towards that more rock concert-y DJ end, which was red, green, blue, white, red, green, blue, amber, red, green, blue, white, amber, sometimes even adding in a UV to help on that deeper blue end. What were you going to add in, Chris?
I was just going to ask you a question.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what color you get in a perfect world when you mix red, green, and blue in full intensity? What color would you get? Well, paint, right? Unlike paint where you get like mud, brown, and then light is different. So that's why John was talking about the line LED added to that mix. Maybe the white ICRI.
Exactly.
In your line,
So, yeah.
is there any actual Lico?
Yes.
There is.
There is a Lico.
Yeah.
It's called the Encore Profile Pro. And we have a warm white, which is set to 3K color temperature. We also have a color version, which is red, green, blue, lime, white, and I believe amber in there as well.
What does it come with, 26?
Excuse me?
The lens is like a 26?
Oh, we actually have a lot of lens options for that. You buy the Lico, and then you can pick and choose from the different lenses. We've got a 50 degree, a 36, a 26, a 19, a 14. We're working on a 10, and I'm still pushing for ADJ to work on a 70 or an 80.
The traditional source form accessories.
Yeah, it is set to the,
Will an old lens from like an ETC fit on it?
yes, it will with a caveat. Okay, and the reason behind that is if all these LED sources are made to you. Yeah, you set the burglar alarm off, right? I guess I forgot to mention that part of the Mirage, even though I showed it off before. Yeah, well, I'll get back to that in a moment. But to answer your question, you can use any lens from any older ETC fixture, any Source 4 fixture. So not to name off all the other brands, but if you have Altman stuff, you can use the Altman lens and the ADJ. Funny enough, as it sounds, a lot of our lenses people found look better. So we've seen people using elation lenses in Altman fixtures. We've seen people using ADJ lenses in ETC lusters. It just, I don't know what it is about our lensing, our optics, but people are preferring it. I don't know if it's maybe the price or it's the actual optic itself or it's a combination of both. But I've had quite a few people reach out to us just for lenses, not for the fixture, because it works really well in the other ones. And the reasoning that the older ETC lens from a lamp-based fixture doesn't work, what was that?
I was saying, plus we have them in stock.
Oh yeah, we have them in stock. That's kind of important. But the reason that people aren't using are usually not using a traditional ETC Source 4 lens with an LED sourced fixture is because they're not optimized for it. They're not made for that multiple honeycomb that is an LED source. No matter how many times people tell you, oh, our LECO is a single source. No, I'm sorry, they lied to you, okay? It is a honeycomb source, okay? It is. Even a Cobb sourced fixture has still got a honeycomb pattern to it if you look closely. You know, they may work really well with a reflector. It's because it's made to look like a traditional, but it's not.
Touch on that.
So yeah. I will in a moment, but I just want to add one last thing. With a traditional lens in an LED LECO fixture, it will work as a general wash. It will work as a general look. But if you're trying to put a Gobo in it, it will never get quite as sharp as if you're using an actual lens made for that LED source.
Makes sense.
Yes. And that's the big reasoning behind it. In a pinch, yeah, sure, go ahead and use it. You know, general stage, no problem. Okay, so Chris mentioned, of course, and we heard going on in the background there, the burglar alarm, and I'm going to set the burglar alarm off again on this guy. Okay, we made this with the damn burglar alarm because apparently we need to, you know. No, oops, sorry, so sorry about that. It'll go off in about 10 seconds, but you can set the burglar alarm to either never go on at all. I don't know why you would do that, but you can also run it for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, or 20 seconds. The cool thing about the burglar alarm is, as you saw, all of the color, the effects that were going on, now it goes back to it once the burglar alarm shuts itself off. The burglar alarm is based on motion sensor and a gyroscope inside the fixture. Okay? If you pick it up and turn it over to change the settings, hey, no problem, that didn't go off. Okay, but if I pick it up and try to carry it somewhere, it's going to go off. And it'll go off for at least 10 seconds because that's what I have it set for. It disables your low power mode. It disables your wireless DMX mode. It disables any color mix that's going on, any internal program or anything. It also disables the power button, which is cool. If you set that burglar alarm off and you try to then turn off the power, it will keep going until you set it down and leave it alone. Okay? Of course, that means people could conceivably, if they know what the fixture is and know how it operates, they could still steal it off a job site, but they're highly less likely to. I was showing these off in a warehouse to a retail store, and it was in their warehouse, and I was talking to somebody on one end of the warehouse, and this started beeping on the other end of the warehouse, and I was just jokingly saying his partner picked it up to take a look at it, and I go, someone's stealing my light. You could see it 20 feet up in the ceiling of the warehouse, flashing red. You know, so when a burglar alarm starts going off, if somebody picks it up, they're highly less likely to steal it. Plus, it also is going to call to your attention that somebody is trying to take it or move it. Now, so I mean, it sounds like a silly thing, but I mean, we had somebody who bought a set of these, turned off the burglar alarm because they thought it was a dumb idea. They bought them for the power output and the battery life. And a week and a half later, the guy goes, "Do you guys sell individuals?" And I said, "What happened?" He goes, "2 of them walked on one of my jobs." And I went, "Really? Okay. You know, we put a burglar alarm in that thing to stop that stuff." Yes. Does it have a tracker? No, you know, you could put an RFID tracker on it if you wanted to. There's multiple spots on it that you could do that. We're not going to put a tracker in there because then we would have to go to the trouble of building some sort of app or, you know, something that allows you to track it or have it comply with other, you know, tracking softwares and things like that. So we went to the point of putting a burglar alarm in it. I don't think we need to go that far.
It'd be cool to put it on your iPhone, find my light.
Yeah, right? A find your light feature.
The next generation will have low jack.
Oh, God, I hope not. I hope not, because eventually everything just takes away from the battery life of the fixture. But even so, we put this lithium-ion battery in this thing, and it works for 2 to 3 times as long as the leading competition on that. So. Oh, okay, you guys want to see the Focus Flex again. Hey, you know what? Sure, go for it.
Yeah, I'm just curious, would these or any other ADJ lighting be appropriate for, like, on a film production of any kind, or is this...
No ADJ is ever appropriate on anything ever for any... No, I'm kidding. Of course, this stuff is going to be appropriate for film production. And you may not see something like the Focus Flex. You may not see something like the Mirages unless you're doing like a party scene or something like that. But the lime color mixing stuff is absolutely welcome on television, film, and broadcasting. It's because the color mixing itself, the ability to adjust gamma, the ability to adjust red to green shift, the white balance adjustment on the source, the fact that we've got barn door kits for pretty much all of these PAR fixtures. We don't have soft bags yet or soft boxes yet, but you know, we could do something if there's a demand for it. You know, these fixtures definitely have a high enough TM3015, high enough TLCI counts, you know, to get them on television and film, no problem. The question's just who's going to take them, you know, first.
You mean to like light up a set specifically, or you mean just to use?
Yeah.
Because our sister company, Elite,
Yeah.
has some
Well.
products that are geared towards, you know, like soft lights and things like that. KO panel, color engine.
Yeah, if you're doing any on-location type sets, some of Elation stuff which has the ability to be battery powered might work out a little bit better for you. Those are more full spectrum LED. But again, the technology is there that you can adjust these to the camera. You can adjust all of the LED source in order to get what you need for a shoot. And especially the PARs with all the different lensing. You know, so you go in there with a 100-degree lens, and now you basically created a softbox by doing that.
The light you guys have over here is a Elation light, TVL 2000. The successor product to those, we still actually make those, but the successor products have full color engines and a little more advanced and better for what you mentioned as far as lighting up sets and things like that.
Yep. You said you wanted to run through the Focus Flex again?
Mentioned something.
Cool.
Is there something specific you want to see on the Focus Flex, or?
Assuming that it's a wash as opposed to...
It is.
Gobo effect, right?
Yeah, well, it doesn't do gobos at all. It does some eye candy pixel effects, but I'm running through colors now, just doing some general color mix on this.
So you flip it around so it's...
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Good idea. So that's narrow.
Mm-hmm. There we go. You know what? I'll just turn that off altogether. You saw it? Okay, good. Sorry, guys.
And how does that effect look in the camera? Like when the pixels were changing on the front, how does that look in the camera?
Well, that's really for eye candy more than anything else. I mean, that'll be picked up on that'll be more for the audience than for what's happening up there. So let's see, zoom it all the way out, zoom it in. There. This is just red, green, blue, and white on at full. We do just one color. Okay. So now this particular fixture was not made specifically with camera, use in mind. It does have the ability to adjust frequency on the LEDs. It does have some white balance and some gamma adjustment. We put a color temperature adjustment channel in here because we do that on all of our fixtures now.
Yeah, everything's flicker free.
But yeah, this guy was made more for your, DJ, rock concerts.
Corporate events. Lighting up a ballroom.
This was made more for your anywhere that you want to use a beam, but then also be able to zoom out and have a beam wash fixture and some eye candy. So.
Tell them about the dark spot in the middle.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. We're on camera.
Show them the dark spot.
I'm so sick and tired of that. All right, I'll do it because you guys suck. All right. You see this fixture here, okay? It's got a really intense spot in the middle, okay? Watch what happens when you zoom out. What happened to that intense hot spot? Guess what? It is still there. It's your eyes that are playing tricks on you, okay? I'm very sick and tired of people bringing this up. I am, okay? At a certain point past the 50-degree mark, it looks almost like there's a dead spot in the center. There is not, okay? It is literally your eyes playing tricks on you because they were so focused on that bright white center point, and now it's gone. Okay? Fixture is just as bright as it was. In fact, I think the lumens are technically higher when it's zoomed out because of the fact that the lumen count is based on an angle, degree, and throw distance. Okay? So.
What is the lumen?
That's a good question, and I do not remember it off the top of my head for once.
I can pull it up.
Sorry.
And the price?
The street price is like $16.50, internet price for one fixture. Pretty aggressive.
Just looking at it, I would arguably say it's probably about 4,000 to 6,000 lumens. Okay, not terribly bright, but it doesn't need to be. At the end of the day, zoomed all the way in, it cuts through a lot of other fixtures. We had this on the floor at Infocom, and we were able to shine it on the ceiling, zoomed all the way in with all the other fixtures going, pointed up at the ceiling. This guy was cutting through at a 40-foot throw. So the fact is, it actually does its job. And when you point it towards people and put a little bit of haze in the room, you get some beam out of it. You really do.
Just curious too, if you want to do a setting, forget it, look with it, can you do that without the controller?
No. Moving headlights, it's very difficult to do a set and forget kind of thing without some sort of controller. Okay. I got to be honest, I really shouldn't say no to that because every single light in this room has some sort of internal program that can be stored and edited, but I'll tell you, you couldn't pay me to do that. I'm like, you could hire me out as a freelancer for a lot of other things, but it will take about 3 to 4 hours to set an internal program on these, and it's just moving lights in general. It just makes so much more sense to go in even with a small controller, something that would be considered not standalone, but some just recall device. Okay, it might cost you guys a lot more money to purchase that equipment, but it just makes your life that much easier in the long run.
Spec is in lux. It says 39,000 lux.
39,000 lux.
234 on this.
30,000, yeah, that's 39,000 lux zoomed all the way in at a 10-foot throw. I'd have to look it up. Sorry. Yeah. But yeah, no problem.
The profile with the shutters.
Good call. Usually I'm running out of time.
You can frame out the Pirate University.
That's true. Yeah.
Although you will
Wait, what Pirate University logo? What happened?
Do like a donut?
So, More than a donut. I mean, if I did a donut, that's just zooming in. Yeah.
It's a skull Gobo.
Yep. So yeah, zooming in, zoom out, we've got quite a bit of zoom range on that guy. Wonderful thing about LED sourced fixtures is when I lower the intensity, I'm not dropping shutters in the way, so I can properly lower the intensity to just highlight or accentuate something if I wanted to. And then we were talking about frames. So we're literally talking about framing shutters here. So let's bring that guy back up to full and then complete chop out. You want to box it? Let's do that. It helps if I don't hit the highlight button on the console. There's these fat sausage fingers. There. And then
Can you put glass Gobos in that?
yes, I can. Yep. So you will notice, you know, a bit of an adjustment here when you drop in, say, any sort of Gobo. We have a rotating Gobo wheel that is replaceable. Could use metal or glass Gobos. There's glass Gobos in it right now. There is a metal wheel for the static wheel. Those are not replaceable Gobos. So you see, this is the rotating wheel here.
That's the 5150 Gobo, Artie.
But if we pull that out, get it nice and framed in, and then save that as a framing preset, because we were talking about presets before. So, and if I record the pan and tilt on that as a preset as well, I could then grab my light there and there for recallable presets, and I just realized I did not set the focus and zoom as part of my presets, which I should have done. So much for me being the product expert. Okay, I quit. I'm done. There. There. So there, hit my presets and go at full, and I'm good to go. Okay, I could take all of these presets, record them into a queue here, and so then when I trigger the queue, it's going to automatically trigger those presets. And that's a wonderful thing about the software. That happens on a lot of these DMX softwares, whether it's Grand MA, Hog, Onyx. It depends on the console for the ETC board, you know, Avo definitely. So I highly recommend when people are programming their consoles to work with presets and then use those presets to call your to create your cue list. Because now, let's say I want to change the pan and tilt on this. I'm on preset number 18, okay, but I want to change the pan and tilt over to here. And if I re-record that when I trigger the cue list, it's now going to go to that spot. Okay, that's a wonderful thing, no matter what world you're in when it comes to programming lighting. If you just adjust the preset, some consoles call it a palette, some consoles call it preset, palette. I'm trying to remember what the other terms are for it, but you understand what I'm trying to say. Layout. You recall that actual preset in the cue list. So all you have to do is adjust that. Okay. So your podium moved 6 inches to the side. Instead of rewriting the whole cue, I update the preset, and now the cue has already been written with all the proper color and everything that was already agreed upon in the discussion of the job. Okay. Yeah.
Is there an audio input for that controller?
There is an audio port for this controller. We don't have it written into the software yet, but I can tell you it is something that's coming, okay, that we would be able to take audio cues. I know we can take MIDI cues. We can also do SMPTE time coding on this, so you can time code out. And if you're time coding, say, over MIDI, then it would take it through the MIDI, you know, as opposed to SIM-T. But you know, we've got pretty much all the ability you can think of in a desk like this. This console has 4 universes out, you know, physical outs. It's got a total of 64 universes out through ArtNet or streaming ACN. Okay, so we've got 2 network ports on the back. One is labeled remote network. One is labeled Ether DMX. It does not matter. A network port is a network port is a network port. A network port. I can't even say that 3 times fast. That's bad. So you set your IP settings, you set your network settings, and it doesn't matter which port you're hooked into. They will do streaming ACN, they will do ArtNet. We've got a whole line from Obsidian control systems of ArtNet nodes, DMX opto splitters, AB switches, you name it, we've got it.
Is there
pretty
an
much.
app for an iPad?
There is a remote control app for an iPad. I did not bring my iPad with me. I didn't think of that. I apologize, but yes, you hook this guy up to a closed network wireless router, and then you can hook up to it. In fact, we have a lot of people who do that for install work. They'll put this on a computer running in the AV room in the back, and then they'll walk around with an iPad and trigger everything. I don't like telling people all the time, and I know this on camera, so it's probably going to come back to bite me in the ass, but the iPad remote app gives you full control over the console. I could sit here with the remote app off to the side and really mess with whoever's at this desk. Okay, because I could do anything this desk can do from the iPad remote app. But if you pick it up and just look at it, it looks like you only have a couple of simple buttons. You really don't. You can turn it from portrait to landscape and then access everything. Yeah, it's pretty dangerous, but also pretty awesome because it's a total remote focus unit. Now, it even gives me my pan and tilt grid and my color picker for changing colors as well. Yeah, and full access to all of the console, all of the banks, all of the Q list faders and everything.
And the software is something that is usable on a laptop?
Yes,
PC
yes,
and Mac?
PC only. Yeah, that's the one downside. And I don't even say that as it's not really a downside. I'm not a huge Mac fan. I know that's probably looked down on in this world that I say I'm not a Mac OS fan, but this program was built on Windows. It's coded on Windows, and we use Windows embedded in our consoles. Okay, we've had a lot of success with it because unlike a lot of other lighting console software guys, we're not building it on Linux and then trying to port it over to Windows or make an on-PC version or make a ported version for Mac. We've built it on Windows and it is on Windows. Okay, what's up? If anybody wants to take a closer look at any of this lighting, any of the consoles, anything, you're welcome to come on up. Yeah. If you have any questions about the operation of the console, I'm happy to help, happy to explain. We've got about roughly 7 minutes left in our time slot, so you guys are welcome to come on up, pick up any of the lights, play around. Thank you guys so much for your time.